Farmers in northern Ghana are grappling with a severe drought that has devastated their crops and threatened their livelihoods. The prolonged dry spell, widely attributed to the effect of global warming, has left fields barren and crops withered. Crops planted over a month ago have failed to germinate, and those that rely on rainwater are rapidly dying. Even the application of fertilizers have proven ineffective, with many farmers reporting that fertilizers remain on the soil surface due to the lack of moisture. We planted our crops with the hope of a good harvest, but now everything is dying up. We don't know what to do next. Mohammed Rafia, a farmer, narrates how the dry spell affects their crops.
So sama ibu karang gutam, sama ibu di. Ahulu tiluna badin dia nang sham do kutola nang. Dibu kama sama nerakana karen nang sham. Ayo kula arang nang tangban ka tabarra ka social bayina da basa asam bragwa bartena ayo samla ka
The locals thought the dry spell was due to adultery or fornication in open places.
Some people are saying that when some people just have sex, they like in farm, at farm bush place. But some villages they believe in that it makes rain. But this one there, for me, I don't believe that, and sometimes I believe that.
Experts point to global warming as a key factor in changing weather patterns. Rising temperatures and shifting rainfall patterns have contributed to the prolonged drought, which is not only impacting crop yields but also threatening food security in the region.
This drought is as a result of climate change. Many people still don't know what climate change is. In fact, there are educated people, when you mention climate change, they think about something else. I do go to community outreach, and we educate, marginalized communities and indigenous people on climate change. When you ask them firstly what climate change is all about, they don't know. But if you ask them some weather patterns that has changed, they would be able to tell you. Like they will tell you, okay, we had a certain dam, it has never dried, but now it's dried up. Or the rain pattern has changed, the extremity of the heat has changed, all those things. And climate change is not affecting only we humans, it is affecting the entire environment. When I say all the ecosystems involved in the environment, from the plants to the trees to the animals. So this drought that has hit the northern region now, personally, I think we should create more education on climate change so that people will know that it is our own practices that is causing these problems.
According to these vulnerable farmers, they have nothing to do but pray for the rain.
Recently, the Muslim community of Tamale has come out to pray and, ask God for rains. But since the prayers, we've not had any positive, response from the Almighty Allah. And I don't think it's a spiritual thing, it's or a religious thing. It's more of our practices.
And aning ya sa kwa ma ka to su na umbwa da ma banzara wasa amara bara sa kwa ma ka to su na wa ina ja asama shi na an luta banzara ma zo ka nan tan da ba na ran.
Local authorities and agricultural organizations are calling for urgent action to address the crisis. There is a growing need for sustainable solutions, including drought-resistant crops, improved irrigation systems, and increased support for affected farmers.
A government needs to invest in agriculture, the agriculture of this country. Every country's revenue strives so much on its agriculture. How much the country is supposed to produce in food, the revenue is going to come from that. So government needs to invest in agriculture. Government needs to support farmers. I always advocate for irrigation farming, but irrigation is very expensive. And we all agree that most of the farmers are peasant farmers. How are they going to afford irrigation? Even, getting good agronomic practices on their farms is a problem. How much more irrigation? And also irrigation is such that if it's a large field, it becomes extremely expensive. But assuming if government were to invest in people's farms, target farmers who are growing on large scales, target them and support them with irrigation systems. Right now, they wouldn't have been facing these problems. Even though there wouldn't have been rains, but still there would have been water for the plants. Last year, for instance, the water was so much, the rains it poured in heavy quantities. We had so much water to an extent, flooding actually ruined some people's field. So imagine if the government had a hand in our farming systems. There would have been a way to curtail some of the water that was wasting last year, to reserve the water for this year. Last year, if we were able to reserve water, this year that the rain isn't coming, we would have been relying on last year's water. So it's very important for government to actually put a hand in farming.
For now, farmers like Mohammed Aishetu can only hope for rain and a return to more favorable conditions while bracing themselves for the ongoing battle against the harsh realities of global warming.